good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. I am your Sensie Owl Bob. Welcome to the show. And don't believe a word I say, right? So here we are. It's Sunday, whatever day in September it is, and everyone thinks it's end of times, but it's always end of times. It's that minute, that second that you are there, it's the end of time, right? What are you going to do with that? How are you going to feel about that? What's it going to mean to you? You know, if you read Luke was a doctor, he was a scientist, and he didn't know Jesus, but he knew people who knew Jesus. And so he was basically wanting to authenticize this. And he was also dealing with, a guy who was named Saul, who was a Jewish Pharisee who was killing as many Christians as he could until he didn't, until he met Jesus on the road to Damascus. And then he like had the passion of a used car salesman, and it went from there. Now the question is, how does that affect you here some 2,000 years later, right? What did it all mean, Daddy? And basically, what it means is that it's up to you. How are you going to, put Jesus in your life, right? And what is Jesus to you? Is it the only God? Is one God? Is there many gods? Do we throw dice? Draw blood? Have sacrifice? What is the story here, right? What are we doing here on this planet? I'm in the Jesus wagon myself, right? And so the real deal is I want to hear from you guys, right? Just want to be there. I'm sure it's just AI. I love you, AI. Good puppy. Good puppy. Yes, you are. And so I don't have a car. I have no wheels. So the Jesus wagon came and picked me up. And so I have I am at the deep green. That's it. I'm not going nowhere without the deep green. And Fraga, trying to, Metro Monto. Hello. Hi. Hello, guys. So we're talking about what is in your soul, what is in your heart, what does your spirit tell you about your life? How are you dealing with your life? What kind of horrible things are in your life? Meaning, I died in 2014, and I've clawed my way back to this. But I had a great, fun time working for the Yankee Dollar for the desperate lawyers in the corporate sense. And I was like that guy who could do miracles because I was just a chucklehead. It wasn't my dominoes. It wasn't my game. But what I had appreciate was the other. And in every disagreement, there's the other, the person taken advantage of. And I would always look at it from their perspective, which gave me an insight of like, what the fuck is going on? And so I could deal these deals, Donnie, the best deal maker in the world. And Donnie's deal is, it's called a grift, So he basically lies, cheats, and steals to the point where people lose everything. And he, basically picks up the spare change on the living room cushions. So, do you want to live that life? Well, just look at where our country's going and that. And we were never, what makes the United States different from any other grifting corporate state is that we have the potential, the promise of doing good. We never do. A few people do here and there, but overall, the edifice, to mega make America great again. I mean, it was never great. Now, it was great for some people, those gold loving, aristocrats, yes, the Astors, the Rockefellers, the J.P. Morgans, all of those, yes, they took advantage. They lied, cheat, and steal, and they made the rules. That's what our law is. We have no justice. It's just us, and you and I aren't in the club, right? Now I've been, dancing around it, been part, not, I wasn't even part of it. I was just a person who could tell truth to power in a non-threatening way. Jesus did that, but he was pretty threatening. He was like all those Pharisees had all this status and power. I mean, everyone was bringing the best lamb and the best vegetables to be sacrificed and offered, and those guys were just having a good meal. And so they couldn't forgive anyone's sins. How did the inflicted get up and walk? Because Jesus could forgive their sins, right? And they then had faith, which was not manifested by their belief. At that moment, they believed, right? In that minute, they believed. But having that experience, faith was laid hands onto them, and from that point on, they were it. They were the example of faith, right? I mean, I've died so many times, have danced with death, and basically, in that process, I have realized that death is, not really something scary. It's like an old friend you kind of have to get used to because he's always around. Any minute you could like slip off that ladder, get hit by that truck, lightning bolt smack you, right? I mean, I was a EMT in a fire department, right? And I was what they call it now a first responder, but I was what they called because they really didn't have EMTs then. They didn't, not many fire. Most people, if you got sick, heart attack, accident, they threw you in the back of a cop car and they drove real fast to get you to the hospital. We had facilities where we could like prolong your life to make it to the hospital, right? And figure out what was kind of wrong with you. So by the time they hit the emergency room and the people of the blue team would show up and they'd roll you into the ICU, we could give them all the stats so they didn't have to start from scratch. So, and that's what they do these days, right? They basically get you ready to be taken care of. Otherwise, you're dead, right? So I was around death a lot in those 3 years. And myself, from, birth till I was 10, I died about 5 times, maybe 4. And I always saw death over in the corner with that big chiclet smile of his pumpkin head, right? So the bottom is, what are you doing with a life? Are you just jerking off? Are you just wasting time? Or are you really trying to do something? The best thing to do is to help other people. And we're not doing a good job on that on this planet right now. We don't know what the other is. The other is, what is the other? The other is that 8.8 billion people, that are your brother and sister from another mother of the crosshairs of another culture where they are basically, collateral damage. And that happens here. All the shootings, I mean, this guy that just got whacked, Charles, I mean, I met him once at LU, and he was a nice guy. He was a funny guy. He was a smart guy. He was sharp. And he was being tutored by Jerry, who basically invented a modern religious right, the modern, Christian nationalist. That was Jerry Falwell, the quiet Christians who vote, and then he made them into the Tea Party, and then the this party and that party, and now it's the mega party, right? And it's just what are you going to do? So if mega was truly true, making America great again, they would be doing things to make America great, not destroying the underpinnings, the guardrails, the norms. Now, in the big picture, Donnie's doing a great job because what he's doing, all those underpinnings and guardrails and norms were just lulling everyone into basic spiritual death, right? So, Donnie is destroying everything. So it's going to be, so America is no longer going to be number one. We never were since, Jack getting whacked. There were elements in that's when the whole world became, national, trans economic, plutocratic, Hail Hydra kind of state, And so there we are, and we're right in the midst of it. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. And what are you guys saying here? Remember, put it in caps so I can read it. Show some respect. Okay. I do. I respect God's unconditional love. I respect, no. Respect, no. What I'm a doula of God's unconditional love and Jesus' unconditional forgiveness. And what's a doula? Go look it up in a Greek dictionary. Doula means slave. I am slave to God's unconditional love. That means everyone I come in contact, I am doing my best. I'm not perfect, but I'm doing my best, right? And so whatever respect you're talking about, I'm confused. You have to, um, you know, be more specific. What is the Christian faith going to do, right? What's it going to do with the Christians are maybe 1 billion of the 8.8 billion, right? And 800 million people are in war zones, right? And those war zones like Sierra Leone, Iraq, Iran, Lebanon, Libya, Syria, in Africa, that whole Darfur is, and then you look at all the people in the West who are homeless and suffering, right? And so where's Christianity with that? Where is it? Tell me. Who's sneaking up on me? There he is. Oh, Big Daddy.
Move it over there.
Move it over there.
Just
Okay.
Don't get too hot.
Yep, it's getting hot, that's for sure. Oh, I gotta go.